Andriy Otchenash, commander of the Kara Nebesna UAV crew within Ukraine's 4th Rubizh brigade, noted that while Russian forces are massing equipment along certain areas of the front line, the assaults themselves are nothing new. He shared the information on Espresso TV. The situation on the front line, where our Rubizh brigade is holding its position, remains quite tense. The enemy makes 3 to 5 assault attempts every day, almost without interruption. While they are not using much equipment at the moment, they are deploying a large number of personnel, which creates certain challenges. They are relentless, not even giving us time to rest, launching continuous attacks. At the same time, we observe that they are amassing equipment, indicating that they will soon attempt assaults supported by vehicles as well. However, it is certain they will fail. This will not be the first, or even the 10th assault our brigade has repelled. Nevertheless, we see that they are constantly adapting. They conduct aerial reconnaissance to search for weaknesses and are slightly adjusting their tactics. Still, our brigade is prepared, and I am confident that everything will be fine, he said. The serviceman also noted that Russian forces are trying to break through using any available means, with attempts to advance on motorcycles being a common tactic. Motorbikes have basically become a classic tactic at this point, and yes, they really do ride in on motorbikes. Sometimes you see 5 to 10 bikes at once, trying to break through not directly at the line of contact, not at absolute zero, but a little farther in, aiming to dig in and create, let's say, chaos. The idea is to force our troops to fire both forward and backward, as the enemy ends up in the middle, but at the end of the day, they're still just motorbikes. Honestly, it's pretty funny to watch. Half of those Russian soldiers fall off. Any nearby shell hit knocks them over immediately. They go rolling too. That's their method, trying to pull off a kind of blitzkrieg, pushing as deep as possible and then digging in somewhere, he said. The officer also noted that the Russian offensive shows no signs of stopping. Their offensive hasn't really stopped, you could say. But at the same time, on the section of the front where our brigade is holding the defense, we're seeing what I'd call a kind of stability of assaults, if that makes sense. They're continuous but somewhat predictable. We also know they keep bringing in more and more fresh troops. The most recent prisoners captured by our brigade, specifically by soldiers from the Rubizh unit, were people who had only about a week, maybe 8 days of training. One of them had 2 weeks, but they're completely untrained, and that's 2 weeks from the moment they signed the contract to the moment they were captured. That's it. 2 weeks of service, added Andriy Otchenash.
Ukrainian troops over the past week have liberated 16 square kilometers of lands in embattled town of Pokrovsk that have been the focus of relentless Russian attacks. In particular, Ukrainian army units advanced in 3 settlements of Pokrovsk in eastern Donetsk region. Announcing the Ukrainian troops' territorial gains on Thursday, Commander-in-Chief of Ukrainian Armed Forces Syrsky said, "We continue the defensive operation, carry out counterattacks and have certain successes." In recent weeks, about 16 square kilometers of territory in the area of settlements of Yudakn, Kotlin, Shevchenko have been freed. The senior military official explained that Russian army has not changed its plans of pushing back the units of the armed forces of Ukraine beyond Donetsk and Luhansk regions and reach the administrative borders of these regions. However, the adversary's plan remains unrealized. Syrsky added that since the start of the year, Ukrainian army has destroyed 4,910 Russian artillery systems and 17,960 Russian artillery systems have been destroyed since January 2024. Furthermore, General Zelenski extended his gratitude to Ukrainian troops for their professionalism and bravery in counterattacking Russians. In particular, on the Pokrovsk direction, the Ukrainian military stopped about 30 Russian assaults every day, inflicting significant losses on the Russian occupiers. The General Staff reported that Commander-in-Chief of Ukrainian Armed Forces Zelenski listened to reports from the commander of the Operational Tactical Group, Brigadier General Alexander Tarnavsky, and worked with the brigade commanders at their command posts. Earlier today, Ukrainian media reported that Ukrainian troops repelled Russian attacks in the villages of Pyadikatki, Stepnoy, Lobkovoy, Malaya Tokmachka and Mali Sherbaki in Donetsk region, destroying over 140 Russian soldiers, 29 armored vehicles and damaging 3 tanks. France hosted high-level talks on Thursday to discuss Ukraine and its security, the first time since President Donald Trump's inauguration in January that top American, Ukrainian and European officials are known to have met together to discuss an end to the war. According to Associated Press, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Presidential Envoy Steve Witkoff joined other top Ukrainian and European officials for hours of separate meetings at the French presidential palace before French President Emmanuel Macron brought them all together for a final round of talks at the end of the day. The meetings come as concerns grow about Trump's readiness to draw closer to Russia, and after weeks of U.S. efforts to broker a ceasefire in Ukraine failed to bring an end to the fighting. There is also frustration among Europeans over the Trump administration's other moves, from tariffs on some of its closest partners to rhetoric about NATO and Greenland. Rubio wrote on X that the American delegation in Paris was looking to secure real, practical solutions to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Until now, Trump's officials have pursued separate negotiating tracks between the United States and Ukraine, and between the U.S. and Russia. Senior U.S. officials had previously made comments suggesting European representatives would not be involved in ceasefire negotiations. Experts said the talks are thought to be the first time Witkoff, Trump's chief envoy tasked with negotiating with Russian President Vladimir Putin, has met senior Ukrainian officials.
Yes, yes. So we don't have the Paris Treaty, which was signed by Great Britain and the United States. But we have. I'll get it out when you come to us. We have this Versailles Treaty signed between Great Britain and France. It is part of this peace that led to the Declaration of Independence of the U.S. What is the date? It's 1783. Third of something.
Very good, and now we're friends.
Exactly. So we'll make sure that you take the copy.
Please, thank you very much. That's
very good. I'll take that.
And in exchange, I'll be happy to get the Paris.
Yes, no, I'll do. Well,
you too, sir.
I'll make sure that when you will on our end to do this.
All right, thank you. Have a picture. Thank the unilateral proposal to Germany and to other European countries to have a free trade area for coal and steel that we can